Guys, I doubted if I wanted to make this video or not, but here it goes. I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken. I have a heavy heart. And for the death of a man that I didn't even know personally, but I admired what he stood for. I admired what he accomplished. I admired his faith. I admired the way he carried himself. And obviously, I can't stop asking why God would allow this to happen. Did God really have a bigger purpose for Charlie in heaven than he did here on earth? With all that he was doing, with the influence he had amongst young people, everything that he was able to accomplish so young, and all that he was going to be able to accomplish in his life that we could all see. It was so evident. So that question has been obviously in my mind here for the last 24 hours. And it's a challenging one. It's a challenging question, and it's something that I struggle with. But with his death is reminding me is of a similar situation we had in our church about a year ago to this date almost, in which we lost a good friend and brother of ours, young, my age, young kids, loving man, awesome friend, beautiful human, and we lost him suddenly. And it was a challenge. It was a tough season for our church, for the family, for all of us in general. But one thing that I remember that came out of that season is young men, young fathers, as myself, challenging ourselves as we faced our mortality, as we faced the shortness of life sometimes, questioning ourselves, are we being the best version of ourselves? Am I being the best father, the best husband, the best godly man in every area of my life, or am I just wasting this life? Am I just getting distracted by things that are not important, that are not even relevant, that are just distractions overall? And that has actually carried through. 12 months later, I'm still challenging myself in ways in which I can get out of my comfort zone to share the love of God with others, including the reason we started this channel. So my question is, in a much bigger scale, as Charlie Kirk was such an influential figure, can this be a catalyst for men, husbands, fathers throughout our society to challenge themselves, to think, are we being that best version? I challenge ourselves to think the way that Charlie was faced with this question months before he passed. He was asked, what do you want to be known by? And his answer was not by his political influence or by all he had accomplished, but by his bold faith. He wanted to be known by his bold faith. And I questioned myself. I asked myself that same question. Am I being known? Am I going to be remembered by my bold faith? Because that's what I definitely want. I want to be able to carry myself in a way that's what goes around, before me, around me. What people see when they see me is God in my life, reflected through all of what I do, his love reflected in my family, in my children, in my wife, and the way I carry myself, the way I stand up, the way I talk about complicated or sensitive topics, the way that I challenge myself to become the better version of myself daily. And that is a challenging thought. It's a challenging process, but I think that it's something that God wants to do through this death and this horrific incident, as terrible as it is. And again, we will never have all the answers of why it's happening, but I think that is something that God can and wants to do, is lift up hundreds of men that maybe are silent in their faith, maybe are questioning their faith altogether, and shake them up and make them understand that, guys, there's a lot more to life than just going to our jobs and doing our work and 9 to 5, clocking in, clocking out, and then watching shows. There's a lot more that is required from us as men, as husbands, as fathers. And that we can do that is if we seek God with discipline, if we get closer to him and we allow him through our obedience to change our hearts, and we see how that change through our obedience starts affecting and impacting those around us. So that's the challenge I'm facing with myself today, with my heavy heart and with all of this confusion and craziness around us. And I wanted to share it with you guys. Hopefully it's just as challenging to you. God bless.